Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Izzy and I am an artist. I'm an animator, graphic designer, social media editor, video editor. I wear a lot of different hats. But one of the things that I am is a not very good drawer. I really am embarrassed and a little bit self-conscious about my drawing, even though I am a professional artist. The art that I do is much more digital and graphic design focused, and I'm not the strongest at drawing. It's the weakest part of my artistic practice, and I've been waiting for a really long time for the ability to draw to just magically appear. And it hasn't, because I'm not a trained fine artist. I studied languages in undergrad, not art, and even though I went to art grad school, fine art was not the focus. We did a lot of drawing, but again, it wasn't focused on really technical aspects of it. So rather than waiting around to see if I'll suddenly become good at art, I'm going to try to do it now. I'm going to set a challenge for myself and start drawing with a focus instead of drawing when I need to and not drawing if I don't have a plan. And I'm going to create a structure for myself so that I troubleshoot some of my common issues with drawing that prevent me from drawing and prevent me from working at it and getting better. So with all that said, let's get into the specifics of the challenge. I'm calling it 300 and 365. Maybe I'll put a cool little like 300 and 365 graphic, I don't know. I'm going to draw 300 times in the next 365 days. So I'm going to post this sometime, I think in mid-August. I started this challenge on August 1st of 2025, and it's going to run to July 31st of 2026. I purposely started at the start of a month, which I'll get to in a bit when I discuss the breakdown of how I'm like, you know, one of the troubleshooting things and how I'm structuring the challenge. But I didn't want to wait until the calendar year to take over. You don't have to wait till January 1st to start a new year. The year can start at any time. And I did wait for August 1st versus starting on like July 29th or something, just so it was easier to keep track of in my brain. But it's running for the year, so 300 drawings in 365 days. I did, you know, do the I'm gonna get a new workout outfit so that I work out because I feel cute thing, and I got myself some new notebooks for the challenge. This was partially pre-bribing myself, and also partially because I did not have enough notebook space to actually do the challenge without them. I have, you know, 5 pages in one notebook, 10 pages in another, certainly not 300 pages consistently altogether, and I very much wanted to have a record of all of my challenge drawings together so that I can go back through and flip through them one after another and have them kind of in a set and see how I progress and compare them day to day, week to week, month to month. It took a lot of investigation to pick these notebooks. They're a good size. I wanted something that was portable but also big enough. I didn't want a teeny tiny guy but also not a giant guy. And I wanted to have different colors so that I can keep track of which one is which. So we're going in rainbow order. These were the cutest colors that they had, and I like the kind of pastel colors. I wanted them to be the right number of pages. I was hoping to get 3 100-page notebooks, and I ended up with 4 80-page notebooks, which leaves me with 5 pages per notebook extra, because I'm going to be doing, if you divide 300 into 4, it's 75 drawings. Am I doing that right? Yes. Yes, I'm doing that right. So 4 sets of 75 drawings. And you might say, what are you doing with those extra 5 pages? Those extra 5 pages are bonus pages. I will fill them up at some point, but who hasn't used a notebook to 95% full? Who hasn't used a notebook to 5% full and then not filled it up? I'm not going to be too hard on myself about having 5 spare pages in each notebook because I can draw in them. They are therefore free for me to draw on. And I am only drawing right now on one side, so I might go through at some point and draw on the other side and maybe like redo all of the reference photos that I use once I, you know, maybe next year, kind of leave myself options for the future. 300 drawings in the year breaks down to 25 drawings per month. I don't know why I'm gesturing so much with my hands, I'm so sorry. 300 drawings in the year breaks down to 25 drawings per month. So that gives me 5-ish leeway days per month, 5 or 6 or 3 in February, I guess, to use at my discretion to skip a day of drawing. I am not doing a draw every day challenge because I know that I will mess up at some point if I do a draw every day challenge, and then I will get really sad and I will be hard on myself and I'll give up. And I don't want to do that. So I want to give myself the leeway of those 65 days out of an entire year to skip a day. It's come in handy already because I had a wedding last weekend of a dear friend of mine, and instead of worrying on that Saturday, oh, I have to figure out a time to draw, and then getting home and being tired from the wedding and, you know, just having other things on my mind, I could just skip the day. And I anticipated Saturday was going to be my skip day. One skip day a week is no big deal, and if I do that, I will still come out ahead. So I'm viewing it as one skip day. That comes out to 52 skip days if I do one skip day per week. So that is why I'm doing 300 and 365 instead of draw every day, because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room and it gives me a little bit of pre-programmed grace for myself so that I continue with the challenge instead of feeling like a failure for being a human who might have a busy day and not have time or energy to draw one day. Okay, so let's talk about troubleshooting my common issues with drawing. Issue number one is that I can never think of something to draw. When I see a blank page like this, my brain is like, you've never seen anything ever before in your entire life. Sorry. And even if I do manage to think of something, say my brain's like, draw a pumpkin. Then immediately my brain goes, what if pumpkin's not the right thing to draw? What if you should be drawing a lizard? What if you should be drawing a cat? What if you should be drawing a mountain? What if you should be drawing a tree? And then that goes on forever and ever and ever. And I never reach a point where I'm like, that's a good thing to try to draw, because anything is equally good to practice drawing. A pumpkin is not better than a cat. A cat is not better than a pumpkin. A cat is harder than a pumpkin, but both are good to practice drawing if you need to just practice. And yet my brain gets in its own way and creates its own stumbling blocks. So, how are we overcoming that? We are setting ourselves themes for this challenge, monthly themes. So 300 drawings breaks down into 25 drawings per month, and each month is going to have a theme. So the first theme, well, first two themes actually, is flowers, because we're going to start with state flowers for all 50 states of the US, which you would think,
easy, that's the full 2 months, right? 50 states, 50 flowers.
Unfortunately, there are states with overlapping flowers, so there are only 43 state flowers for the 50 states, and so the last 7 I'm going to fill in with flowers that I personally like, and that's going to be August and September. So yeah, we've got August and September are state flowers, then we've got October, which I'm going to do herbaceous plants like grass and wheat and trees and such, non-flowering plants, I guess. Then November we're going to do food, that is raw food, fruits and vegetables. December is going to be cooked food like pies and cakes and stuff like that. January is going to be inanimate objects like cups, forks, plates, you know, things like that. February is going to be inanimate objects, part 2, like clothing accessories, hats, purses, shoes, things like that. March, we're getting to cats. March is cats. April is dogs. We're going to just do different breeds of cats and different breeds of dogs for March and April. May will be wild animals, elephants, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. June will be birds, and then July will be humans. I might break that down into like hand studies, face studies, things like that, but we'll get there when we get there. That's a ways off. You can probably tell by my arrangement of the monthly themes that I strategically am moving from less intimidating to more intimidating things to draw. So in this case, a pumpkin is a better thing to draw first than a cat, mainly because I don't want to be really embarrassed in my own brain, if that makes sense. If something is wrong with a flower, it's like 5% off, or even if it's 15% off, it will still look like flour, and I won't be like,
oh my gosh, I'm the worst artist in the whole world, I should never do art again,
and stop. So I'm going to do things that I will be more embarrassed in my own brain to get wrong, like cats and dogs and eventually humans, later, once I've gotten to the habit of drawing every day, and also once my literal phalanges are more used to connecting to my brain. If I don't draw regularly, I kind of lose the skill, and I'm out of practice of drawing regularly. I graduated from my master's program over a year ago, and I haven't needed to draw regularly since then. I had a job that was much more writing and editing focused, and still do. Switched jobs, but done a lot of like social media things and things like that. So a lot more graphic design, a lot more writing, a lot more strategy, and a lot less fine art incorporation into my day-to-day. So that's what we're doing for this. I will show you how I've set up the notebook. So you can see, ooh, look at that. That's number 19. Can I read that backwards? It's Maine's state flower, which is the white pine cone. It's the only state flower that's not really a state flower. And so I've gone through and I've done the first 50 days like this, where I've put in the day and the state, in this case because I'm doing state flowers, and what it's going to be. So in this case, white pine cone. So then when I sit down to draw, all I do is I do a little blip, 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 Google search, and search white pine cone, and I find a good reference photo, and I draw from that. Which brings us to troubleshooting number 2. Often as artists, we like to draw from our own imagination, and that is great in a lot of ways. But the way to train our imagination to draw accurately from what we think is to draw from reality. The purpose of this 365 day challenge is in part to make sure I start drawing every day, or most days, and to flex the muscle and get into the habit of creating art regularly, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the most amazing thing in the world, even if I don't do more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes is my bare minimum. That's what I'm setting for myself. But the other part of why I'm doing this is because I want to hone my brain-hand connection so that I get better and better at drawing what I'm seeing and drawing what I am thinking, and getting the proportionality right, you know, whether it's petals on a flower or, you know, the size of a dog's ears in comparison to its face. I want to be better at being accurate. Which brings me back to reference images. I will Google, not using AI. AI is a whole other topic which we can get into if there's an internet appetite for that. But we will Google reference images, real photography of real objects that I'm going to try to draw and practice drawing, so that I make a daisy look like a daisy, I make a zinnia look like a zinnia, I make a white pine cone look like a white pine cone. I want things to look real, not just like what I imagine in my head, and that's another reason to practice drawing what you see, because our brains often generalize categories, like generalize flowers into flowers or shoes into shoes, like all sneakers will start to look the same in our own brains, and I want to get that specificity in my drawing. So we'll Google a reference image. I'm going to save all of my reference images so that I can go back and compare them to what I ended up drawing. I guess that's kind of the whole kit and caboodle. I don't really know what I'm going to do with this at the end of the challenge, but I do know that it will be a good process and a good journey, and I'm going to share it with you guys. Probably doing like a monthly checkup feels about right, where I'll show you some of my progress, and you know, kind of talk through my experience of taking on the challenge for the year. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to be working at it and to be, I don't know, just tackling this part of my artistic self that I've been very embarrassed about for a long time. I am still young. I'm not 7 years old anymore, but I am also, even if I were 77 or 87, there would still be time for me to learn something new and become better at something that, you know, I will really enjoy doing the better I get at it. I already like to draw, and I know that if I can strengthen my brain-hand connection and my skills, which I can only do by practice and I can only do by focus and attention, then I will enjoy it even more, and it'll just unlock aspects to my creativity that right now feel a little inaccessible and a little bit intimidating to me, where there are things that I want to be able to do and things that I want to be able to make with my art that I just feel like I can't do justice to right now. So right now, yeah, drawing and my artistic vision, that's like the biggest mismatch of my artistic skill set with animation or graphic design or photography or other things like that. I feel like my skills generally match my artistic vision, but with drawing, with like a fine art level drawing or illustration even, I just feel like there's room for improvement for sure. So that's what this challenge is about. It's about improving, it's about being vulnerable and saying, I'm not the best at it, and that's okay. It's okay to learn, it's okay to be a learner as an adult. It's okay for it to take time to become better at it, even though I am an artistic person. We don't learn things overnight. We don't expect anyone to like become perfect at something in a single sitting or in a single session. We allow children the space to learn incrementally. And I feel like as adults, we allow ourselves less of that incremental learning space. So I'm giving myself that space to learn incrementally. And I appreciate you joining me for this journey. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to me chit chat and show off my new notebooks to you. And I can't wait to see where this challenge takes me and to share it with you as I go along. See you in the next video. Bye.